Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. I'd like to address a current topic of discussion on Twitter that may point to XRP's weaknesses. It's your fault that investors are upset with you. The ineffectiveness of our XRP coin usage is entirely my fault. Is there truth to those claims? So let's talk about it. I'll share my thoughts with you. But before we get to that concept, I want to cover the day's news, which is the prevalence of grayscale in the SEC. Their case was successful. Bitcoins, for example, are currently up little more than 5% after a brief surge in the market. The majority of the market has been doing well today. A definition, please. Do we get a Bitcoin ETF, or, more crucially, a grayscale ETF, tomorrow now that grayscale has triumphed over the SEC? This only means that it cannot decide at random that spot Bitcoin ETFs are risky while futures products are perfectly secure. It's not like there's any logic behind that. But that doesn't preclude them from sitting back and making up justifications, being all gray and stuff. For these and other reasons, we cannot accept it. Once again, I get the impression that a Bitcoin ETF is imminent, and this time, my intuition tells me it won't be a low-resolution affair but rather a high-fidelity one. BlackRock, along with a few other major firms. First to market usually wins, but it's encouraging to see the courts pushing back against the SEC's authority to legislate investment choices for ordinary citizens on the basis of the agency's subjective interpretation of the law. But this is a rescue attempt. It's not up to them to decide that. They are acting beyond their authority, and the courts are telling them so. And we know, once more, that these ETF products are on the horizon. I anticipate them sometime in the first quarter of 2019. And it's great to see grayscale winning in court against the SEC, but I have my doubts about how well that will ultimately serve WOD. Watch the story unfold, it may turn out that way. Okay, now we have a thread. And I do agree with some of these issues, this discourse. Very well-known XRP member, but I can't figure out how to display his name here, the non-Samos. See what he means? Use your tokens and stop making wild assumptions unless you agree with Gensler. And in his comments, he's basically asking how XRP can be considered a utility token if all you can do with it is buy it, hold it, and hope its value goes up, which would make it a security and attract gamblers. First, let me inform you that speculative purchasing is really common. First of all, it's not my job to figure out how to use this coin. The fact that people aren't using XRP, as retail investors is a failure of developers. What apps are out there that we're gonna want to use? You look OV. And then your gaze lands on XRP. And there's not much to your possession. You need to create things that people find important and useful if you want them to download them into your apps and use them. Clearly, the developers have failed in their mission to create engaging tools for the average investor. While I agree that the XRP ledger's present fundamental capabilities are limited, I think a lot could be accomplished without additional features like hooks and smart contracts. Nope, not my responsibility at all. I simply acquire the coins. Do I not construct upon it? I don't construct anything by myself. That's the responsibility of the programmers. And trust me, if the currency on this new hook side chain is not good for investors, if people aren't there, buying it, supplying liquidity, it will be a failure. All of this is irrelevant for an ecosystem. We need developers, users, investors, and speculators. Investors are a crucial cog in this machine, and you can't afford to leave them out. We're a major value generator. Developers and end users are also crucial to this process. Just so you know, I'm not a fan of having the ability to dictate the proper course of action for investors. Adding value in that way is not our responsibility. We are investing our own funds into these systems, and we are investing our hard-earned cash. It is the responsibility of the devs to create useful systems that people are eager to adopt. Not my job, plain and simple. And I'll tell you this, I think the XRP community is desperate for some quality dApps, and I bet that if someone produces something really attractive, they'll become a billionaire overnight. They're desperate for it. Impossibly, this tangential link will provide the solution they seek. Perhaps they lack the necessary skill to create D applications. Construction is the only area in which they excel. I can't say for sure, only time will tell. This, however, is an argument I have always tried to refute. The coins I invest in are ones I've purchased. That's what I get paid to do, after all. Developers should now go create something useful. That's how I feel, yet, I'd want to hear from you on the topic. Someone is finally working on actual applications for XRP and Ripple. As legal forces turn against the SEC, CEO Brad Garlinghouse has declared this the summer of justice. While I have seen some people who I presume are members of Congress yelling, "Fire Gary Gensler," they clearly do not have the power to do so. But if you get enough negative coverage, they can use that against him politically. It all kind of depends on how things play out here, but he might be removed or not re-up for another term. But he can be swayed by political pressure just like anyone else. And the fact that they continually losing in court is a red flag that they are abusing their power. And I'm sure he's in hot water at Gensler because of the way their FTX stuff fell apart. They'd probably try to deny any responsibility for this, and I can see why that would be appealing. He was about to provide FTX a substantial opportunity. Long term, that may have caused a lot of trouble. He was really fortunate that it exploded at the time it did. That's for sure. The stakes here are high, and the courts have made it clear that the SEC can no longer create regulations on the fly. We can observe that a few days ago, I embedded a video of Benjamin Cohen talking about how ADA is probably entering a depressive phase into one of my own videos. And I think that because every time I've mentioned it, people have said things like, "Yeah, all these things are being built, and this value is there," which led me to conclude that they didn't really care. When the market closes for the day is typically when the most interesting news is released, making it the greatest time to invest. True, nobody seems to mind. In this case, the drivers are dozing off. And I have ADA tokens, so I guess I've got it. It's a financial asset that I've got. But I'm sitting here thinking, if I'm going to add to my current holdings, I'm going to wait and see how this turns out. And it's possible that the token price may skyrocket. That's good, because I already own some, but I believe that we still have some excellent investment opportunities ahead of us. Also, I wouldn't recommend dozing off while working on this project. Alongside Polka.or, this will be a significant alternative to Ethereum. Forget your 18th and 19th birthdays, any of the other main layer 1 smart contract chains has come a long way by the time you reach your 20s. However, it has improved greatly, especially in the past few years. I believe the next bull run will usher in a large influx of users to the ecosystem of amazing decentralized applications, dApps. That's the target, after all. These developers are pushing themselves to the limit, and the results are impressive. Don't let your guard down on ADA, it could pay off big time. To conclude, I haven't heard anything about it. However, I've been told by multiple sources that I should investigate Hadera, and I've noticed that King Solomon has an interview with one of the company's co-founders. I haven't given it a spin just yet. I've included a link to it below. Don't forget to look into it. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.